What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to Overwatch Agents, where we review match replays to catch the cheaters and throwers who try to ruin the game. If you have a replay to share where you think someone was cheating or throwing, you can send it to me along with the info on the screen. Let's get started. In this first one, we're going to be looking at a cheater. It is the Widow on the red team, who also ends up using Soldier and Ashe later on. This player is using a wall X-ray and also an aim lock, but it doesn't always try to get criticals. It looks like it just snaps towards the center of the enemy. So the first really good example of this is with the Baptiste that you can see on the screen right there. Let's slow this down and we're going to start it up. You're going to see that when the Baptiste kind of gets a little bit closer, it's going to lock onto that character, and then it's just going to track the Baptiste through the wall. So right there's the snap, and you can see it tracking through the wall. Please note that this is the very beginning of the game. There's no vision, there's no Hanzo on the team, nothing like that. There's no way for this player to know that the Baptiste is there, and you can see very clearly locking on that player through the wall, and then ends up getting the elimination. And it continues to track, but again, it's not trying to get criticals. It looks like it's primarily just trying to stay locked on, although that did end up getting a critical. And then right here you can see it's going to lock on to a Brigitte next. And there it goes. It snaps and locks on to the character and continues on. Now, there's some other examples that we're going to take a look at. The next one is at the 1 minute and 50 mark. This is also going to be through a wall, snapping and locking on. This is going to be the Junkrat. You can see right there is where the snap happened, and it continues to lock on and then ends up getting the elimination in just a second here, right there. Later on, we see a little bit more obvious and kind of blatant examples of it. This is going to be at the 8 minute and 10 second mark, roughly. At this point, switch to the Soldier. We're going to continue here. You can see kind of locked on to that Reaper, but let's speed this up. You're going to see the Bob gets thrown out. It immediately locks on. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. You're going to see him start to lock on to the Ana through the wall and then try to attack the Ana. So for right now, it's just kind of going around, and it's going to snap up right there. Snapped to the Ana, trying to attack her through the wall. Very clearly able to see her, but not obviously able to hit because of the wall in the way. And then you can see it kind of snaps to the other characters as well. Now, things like bubbles and also barriers will prevent the lock-on. You saw a very obvious snap again right there. Things like bubbles and barriers will prevent lock-ons. This is how a lot of them work. And then the final part we're going to check out is towards the end of the match, which is where it's just going to show locking onto a wide variety of targets. So you can see locked onto the Ashe right there, then locks on to the Baptiste. And what I'm talking about, in case you're unfamiliar, is the fact that it has the absolute perfect center tracking. So you can see locks on to the Ana, stays perfect even when she's inside the building, locked on to the Zarya there. And there's no wiggle. There's no kind of, you know, the crosshair moving around a little bit. Even the best players in the world don't have the ability to keep a crosshair centered on a character like that. This player is very obviously using a variety of cheats. In this match, we're going to be looking at another cheater who is using an X-ray and an aim lock or an aim assist. This is going to be the Bastion on the blue team with the very appropriate name. I also want to point out that the level on this account is 24, so while this is a quick play match, I guarantee that this player is now above 25 and using these cheats in the competitive match, which is why it is so important to get rid of these cheaters as fast as possible. So I'm going to show you this in regular time, and you'll be able to see that. You can see that he's kind of like snapping a little bit and locking, and now he's attacking an empty window, attacking a building. That looks really weird, and then suddenly attacking the invisible Sombra, and then taking out that Sombra. Now let's back this up just a little bit here, and we're going to go back to about here, and let's switch over to the Sombra perspective. So the Sombra is currently invisible, and I want to show you that there is no way that the Bastion could have seen, because from here, the Sombra is invisible. The Bastion does not have line of sight. There's no way that the Bastion could possibly have known that the Sombra was coming up over here. However, right about this point, you can see that the Bastion is now beginning, let me slow this down a little bit, now beginning to attack into that building with the invisible Sombra. There's no way that he could possibly know that. Then the Sombra jumps out, a couple more attacks, and when the Sombra is over here, we're going to switch over. You can see that the Bastion is looking pretty much right where the Sombra is, and then waiting for the Sombra to come out. We can switch back over. You can see the Sombra doesn't get to attack. Instead, the Bastion is the one that attacks first. Pinpoint accuracy, exactly where the Sombra is, and a little bit of the aim assist. It's not like a perfect aim lock or anything like that, but there definitely is an aim assist on this. So the next thing is around the 3-minute and 20-second mark, which is pretty much the same thing. So you can see there's a little bit of an aim lock on that Brigitte right there. But once again, we've got the Sombra, who is hiding in the corner and invisible. There's no way for the Bastion to know. And yet, the Bastion is kind of like waiting and watching. You can see, tracking up over there. The Sombra has begun to move to go up top. The Bastion decides to use his ultimate instead. And we switch over. Still not visible. Attacks. And that attack, if you look, yes, the Sombra is hacking, but the attack came before that hack went out. So the attack goes out a couple times and takes out the Sombra. There are also many, many other occasions throughout this entire match where the player is very clearly kind of tracking onto enemy players. This person is very obviously using some sort of an X-ray and an aim assist or an aim lock. In this match, we're going to be looking at someone who is using a cheat in order to heal teammates, which is really weird. It's not really lawful evil because, I mean, they're not obeying the law. They're obviously breaking the rules. It's more like chaotic good, breaking the rules to heal your teammates. But it's still cheating and you still need to be banned for it. The person we're looking at is the red team Ana, which is named Player. I should point out that the account name Player is what Blizzard will rename an account to if it had a previous name that was inappropriate. So that's why you see so many people with the name Player. Yes, you can choose it yourself, but Blizzard also uses that as the default when someone has to change their name. It gets changed to Player, which is why I say don't report people unless you see them doing something wrong firsthand, because there are lots of duplicate names. Now, what you're going to notice is that this person is going to jump around a lot and also kind of move the camera around quite a bit in order to try to hide this, but it becomes pretty obvious. So let me slow this down a little bit, and you're going to see that it's going to lock on. I believe Roadhog is the first, so you can see it's kind of locked onto the Roadhog, onto the center, and then it snaps over, locks onto the Sigma. Now it's locked on to the Reinhardt. And the thing is, I want to point out, notice how it is perfectly locked onto the center of the character. There's no wiggle, there's no movement. That is not something that a normal human can do. It stays locked on. So let's move this up to a regular speed, and you're going to see the same kind of thing, where it locked onto the brig right there. Now it's locking onto a variety of characters. And there's another better example up here as well. Alright, so right around here, you're going to see... Let me... Okay, I think it's right about here. Alright, so let's slow this down. And you're going to see that... See, tried to hit the Reaper through the wall, by the way, right there. Did you see that? Let's go back a little bit. You're going to see that. Tried to hit the Reaper through the wall. Now it's locked onto the Reinhardt right here. Then it snaps and locks onto the Sigma. Snaps, locks onto Reinhardt. And again, just pay attention to the fact that it is perfectly centered on those. You saw another snap right there. And it stays perfectly centered on the target. that is the giveaway that the person is using the aim lock. Because it's so unnatural, it's impossible for a player to keep the crosshair that perfectly still directly in the center of any player. I mean, you look at even the best players in the world, they're going to wiggle around and it's going to move a bit and stuff. No one is able to keep it perfectly centered on any target. It's just not going to happen. And those are going to be all the matches for this week. Really weird to see someone using a cheat in order to heal their teammates. I mean, I guess I should have figured that it was out there and people were going to use that sort of aim lock for that kind of a thing. It's just weird to see because normally a cheater would want to do all the pew 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 and get the eliminations and stuff like that. But, I mean, I guess this is a pretty good way to win and have a really short queue time in order to get into matches as well. So there you go, guys. Again, if you have any, check the info, send them over. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to be comment of the video, then leave yours, and while you're at it, ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Also, if you want to get some cool gear, join my Discord server, or follow me on social media, then check out the links down below. And remember, always, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.